What if I told you that the fastest way to earn more money as a doctor is actually to reduce the amount of money you lose by paying tax? In this video, I'm going to break down how you can save money with taxes and how you can increase the amount that you take home in the tax year. The April tax deadline is coming up. If you stay to the end, I'm going to show you how you can save 60% tax in one simple move. So let's dive in. The first thing to say is that in the UK, the tax deadline is the 6th, or the new tax year starts on the 6th of April. So anything up until the 5th of April would count as the 2024-2025 tax year, okay? When it comes to your taxes, there are a few strategies that you can use to maximize the amount of tax-free income that you are entitled to. Now, the first and most obvious thing is your ISA. So in the UK, we have what we call ISAs. Now, you can have it as a stocks and shares ISA or a cash ISA. And at the moment, the limit for that is £20,000. Now, that might reduce, in terms of the cash ISA, down to £4,000 based on what the current Chancellor is proposing. So if you haven't contributed to these ISAs, this is one way you can top up your tax-free allowance. Anything you make on this £20,000, whether through investments or interest, will be tax-free when you remove it from the ISA as well. So that's the first thing. The second thing you can do is a LISA. If you haven't bought a property yet, you can use a LISA to save money, to invest again in stocks and shares or cash, up to a maximum of £4,000 in each tax year, plus an extra £1,000 from the government. So the government will give you 25% of anything that you contribute to the LISA. Now, this is best if you haven't bought a property or if you've maxed out your SIPP, which we will get into later. The point is, you can put in up to £4,000 and receive 25% from the government. When you remove anything from this LISA again, it is tax-free. So these are two things that you can do before April 5th deadline. Top up these to the maximum. Now, the next thing you can do is, if you don't have if you do not have a private pension, a SIPP, which is a self-invested private pension. So you may have an NHS pension, you may have a work-based pension, but you can also have a private pension, which again is very similar to sort of stocks and shares, where you invest that money. Now, you can, if you are earning over £60,000, you can invest up to £60,000. If you're earning less than that, you can invest up to the maximum that you're earning. So if you earn £30,000, you can invest £30,000. And from that, you will essentially get your tax back based on the rate of tax, based on your tax bracket and the rate of tax that you are paying. The other thing to say is that if you have children, a junior ISA or a junior SIPP, again, is a yearly 2024 to 2025 tax year. You can give up to £9,000 in your junior ISA and £3,600 in your junior SIPP. I have another video specifically on that if you're interested in that for your children, because you can set them up really well, and I'll put the link to that in this video. But check that video out because it's really great for if you have children. If you don't know who I am, I'm Dr. Nix, and my mission is to make sure that doctors like myself are financially literate and have the freedom to invest their money for maximum returns and reduce the amount of tax that they pay, so that they can have more money for themselves to enjoy their life and the freedom to choose careers for themselves. Okay, so that is it in terms of ISAs, SIPPs, junior ISA and junior SIPPs. Now, okay, so the other thing that's unique to doctors is that you can claim back tax on essential things for what you work for. So say for example, you're a doctor, there are things that you need to work. So your equipment is one of them. Equipment such as stethoscope. If you're a surgeon and you use loops, if you scrub shoes, anything that you use that allows you to work, you can claim the tax back for. Then there's fees, right? We all pay GMC fees, college fees, I pay to the RCOA, BMA fees, MDU fees, anything that you need to work, you can claim the tax back. Now, if you're earning over £50,000, you're already paying 40% tax. And so you'll get 40% tax back on your GMC, 40% tax back on RCOA fees, 40% tax back on BMA fees, and so on and so forth. And that adds up and adds up and adds up. And there you save some money. Okay, so that's one thing that I would implore you all to do. You can go back up to 6 years and claim this tax back if you haven't done so already. And if you have a limited company or you self-assess, you can just claim that back in your self-assessment. If not, you might have to give the HMRC a call and stay in that long queue and then get the tax back through that way. There is a form that you can fill out as well. But the point is, you want to get your tax back within this tax. And then last but not least, how do we save you 60% tax? Well, if you are earning over £100,000 in the UK, that means that for every pound that you earn above 100k, you lose from your tax-free allowance of £12,570 that we are all entitled to. So let's say, for example, you earn 570. Let's just say this is your income. That means your tax-free allowance will drop by 2,570. So on this 2,570 portion of your tax-free allowance, you are now paying 20% tax. Okay? Now you're earning 102,570 and you're paying 40% tax on this 2,570, so that's also 40%. So essentially you are paying a 60% marginal rate in tax. Now, that's not good, because that means the more you work, the more you're paying. So the best way to combat that is, if you remember our SIPP, if you pay into your SIPP up to £60,000, you get your tax back from that. Now, two things that this does here, paying into your SIPP, it reduces your actual income. Let's say you pay 2,570 into your SIPP. Your actual income then becomes £100,000. So that means you get back this tax-free allowance. So that's gone. So you get that 20% back. It also means you're not paying 40% on this anymore, because you get the tax back from your SIPP. So therefore you have saved 60% in your tax. It also makes you eligible for child nursery fees. And so you save money there with the child nursery fees, because once you earn over £100,000 as a single income, then you are no longer eligible for nursery fees. So you've saved 60% in tax and you've saved nursery fees by simply contributing whatever you're earning over £100,000 into a self-invested personal pension. Now, the other way you can do that, if you don't want to put it into a self-invested personal pension, is if you give it to charity. So if you are part of a religious organization that is a charity, a church, a mosque, a temple, or you just give to charity, that amount is also tax deductible, and so it would serve the same purpose as putting it into a SIPP. Hope that makes sense. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure you like it, please subscribe, share it with someone who you know will benefit, and also join my school community, which is specifically tailored for doctors who want to improve their personal finances, where we design careers based on our terms and get paid what we deserve.